Today we're going to talk about what force is. We've already used the language of force, and we have a tendency to kind of have an everyday understanding of what force is, but today we're going to learn the physics behind force. Before we talk about force in particular, let's go back to the beginning of the year and talk about that big picture diagram again. Remember, the most constant thing about the universe is that the universe is changing. The universe is changing all the time. And the ability to cause that change is what we call energy. And we often recognize changes in the universe because objects are changing position. And when an object changes position, we say that it has a speed at which it changes that position, and that is what we call the velocity. And we haven't really talked about this yet, but we are going to talk about eventually, what causes changes in velocity and what is a change in velocity. We're going to call that an acceleration. But before we do the acceleration, we need to talk about force. And force is what causes changes in velocity. It is what causes changes in an object's position. And really what a force is in some ways we can think of it as a transfer of energy. And so what we're going to talk about today is what kind of forces are there? How do we talk about what a force is? And what did Isaac Newton have to say about all of this? Because he is the guy who gave us the fundamental laws of force in Newtonian physics, which is what we're studying. Now, for Isaac Newton, a force is any push or pull upon an object that results from some kind of interaction between objects. And this word interaction is super important because a force always requires some kind of connection and interaction between at least two objects. And the force affects both objects. Even if a ball smacks into a book, both the book and the ball are affected by the interaction between them, the force. When the interaction is occurring, we say that the force exists and is acting. When the interaction is over, when the ball is done hitting the book, then the objects are no longer experiencing a force. So forces are temporary things in most cases, many cases. They are only happening while the interaction between the two objects is happening. Some forces, like the force of gravity, can be occurring over a much longer time span, and we'll talk about that. Now, there are two basic types of forces. We have contact forces, which is where two objects are actually going to touch. They're going to come into contact with one another, and both objects will experience the force, okay? Because the force is the interaction between the two objects. And second, we have what we might call action at a distance forces, or we often call these field forces. This is where the idea of force fields come from, because force fields are actually real. And this is where two objects interact, but they don't have to touch in order to do so. And that interaction occurs through something called a field, like a gravitational field or an electrical field. And we'll talk more about all of these. Now let's talk about specific kinds of contact forces. Remember, a contact force is when any two or more objects touch and interact, and a force is exerted on both of them. Now, you can get a contact force anytime you have two surfaces touching. We have two fundamental kinds of surface forces. Excuse me. Forces at a surface that are perpendicular are called normal forces, and we'll talk about those. And forces parallel to the surface are called frictional forces. We talk about friction a lot. We're actually going to start to think about, well, what is friction? What's happening there? And how does that affect both objects that are touching at that surface where the friction is occurring? You can also have contact forces between objects that are kind of connected or linked by things like a string or a chain, like a lamp that's hanging from a chain from the ceiling. And so whenever we have some sort of string or chain or cable involved, we call those tension forces. And we'll talk about those, and we'll do problems with some tension forces. There are also a bunch of forces, contact forces, that occur whenever an object interacts with a fluid. And a fluid can be something that we think of as a liquid like water, but fluids are also sometimes can be gases like air. Air is technically a fluid. And so whenever we have an object that's interacting with a material that is a fluid, we can get different kinds of forces. You can get thrust forces, like the thrust generated by a jet engine that causes an airplane to move forward. You can get resistive forces like air resistance, and we often call these drag forces. So when we talk about drag, generally we're going to be kind of referring to air resistance, but you can talk about drag in terms of a boat in water as it's moving fast through the water or something like that. For us, it's mostly going to be air resistance. Floating forces. Why do boats float? Why do objects like maybe a piece of wood or a log, why do they float? There are forces in fluids called buoyant forces that kind of push them up. And we will talk a little bit about these, but not very much. And finally, what we call steering forces, or sometimes they're called Bernoulli forces, after the physicist who kind of quantified them, gave them equations and numbers. And we often call these lift forces. This is the kind of force generated on an airplane's wing when air flows across and underneath the wing that causes the airplane to be lifted up into the air and to actually fly. And so we will kind of refer to thrust, drag, buoyant, and lift forces. We're not going to do math with them. They tend to be much more complicated than our pay grade. But I want you to be aware that they're there. There are some other forces, like spring forces, the forces that a spring that's attached to an object may exert when the spring is compressed, squeezed, or stretched out. And also something called applied forces. An applied force is anything that kind of we just do. When I pick up a basketball, I'm applying a force to the basketball. If I kick a chair, I apply a force to the chair. So we're going to use applied forces quite a bit because we're going to have people and or animals or things applying forces to objects. These are not the only kind of forces. These are the most common types of contact forces that we're going to see in our problems. And we're going to be dealing with these for the rest of the quarter, which is the rest of our school year. Now, there are also force fields or action at a distance forces. And these occur between objects that don't have to touch. And these are kind of, we live with these every day. We manipulate and we use gravity, for example, to get through the day, to play sports, to function. But there really are only 3 of these that we need to think about. And they are kind of special case forces because they're just built into the structure of the universe. They're not something that is done by one object to another exactly. They're kind of built in, and there are different theories on how they work. In Newton's world, these are actual forces. And we'll talk very briefly on a Tuesday afternoon probably about what gravity, for example, is in Einstein's world, where it is not a force at all, or what gravity might be in quantum physics, where again, it's not really a force like we think of it in Newton's world. But we're going to live in Newton's world, so we will talk about gravitational force. And gravitational force occurs and happens between any two objects that have mass. And so if there's you and the Earth, there is going to be gravitational force between you. It is an interaction. The Earth pulls you down. However, you also pull the Earth up towards you a tiny, 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 tiny little bit. And so every force in Newton's world is an interaction between two objects, even if one of them is almost infinitely stronger than another. We also have electrical and magnetic forces that arise out of the electromagnetic field and the electromagnetic force, which both gravity and the electromagnetic force are part of those four fundamental forces of the universe that just are. We don't know where they come from. We don't know why they are. They are just fundamentally built into the structure of our universe. The only one that we're going to have to think about, and we are going to have to think about it with virtually every problem we do, is going to be gravitational force. Because most of the physics that we're going to be considering is going to be occurring in the gravitational field of the Earth. And if it's not there, it's going to be somewhere else that has a gravitational field too, like the moon or another planet or something like that. Now, to give you a summary about force, here are the basic facts. Force is a vector. It does have a magnitude. How strong is the force that's pushing or pulling? But it also has a direction. Is the force pulling or pushing up or down or to the right or to the east? So you must, whenever you're giving an answer for a force, you must always give a magnitude, how strong the force is, and a direction. What direction is the force acting in? Our symbol is a capital F with the vector hat on it. Our unit is the Newton, named after Isaac Newton. It is equal to 1 kilogram meter per second squared. Now that might remind you of the unit for momentum. And after this unit, we're going to return to momentum and we're going to take a look at that. Remember, momentum's unit is just a kilogram meter per second. So we have another per second here, and we'll come back to that. We will label our forces, and we're going to have a special way to label them. It's sometimes called agent-object notation. I like to call it feeler-dealer notation. We are going to label all of our forces like this. F for the force with a vector hat, the type of force it is, on the feeler, what is the object experiencing or feeling the force, by the dealer, what is the object causing the force or dealing out the force. This will make more sense once we do it. An example would be you sitting wherever you're sitting here today. You would be experiencing the force of gravity on you, on the student, and the source of that force on you is the Earth. So it would be by the Earth. It's a lot to write out, but it's very important that you do. It helps you form a mental model in your mind of how force works. There are a few forces that we use a standard notation for, that after a while I will allow you to use a standard notation. Those would be the normal force, which is an F with a subscript of a capital N, gravitational force, which is F with a little sub g, and frictional force, which is an F with a little sub f. But for now, we're all going to use that right there, the feeler-dealer full notation. It's important.